Do you know the wee sweepy truck? The wee sweepy truck that's going to come into your periphery here in any second now and sweeps around the outside of Ibrox, around the immediate surrounds of Ibrox Stadium at the end of every home match. It's got two massive big blue brushes at the front of it, and they kind of bounce back and forth, up and down, side to side, just sweeping all rubbish in its wake and keeping Ibrox absolutely pristine. I just noticed there just now, that it also sweeps up the horse manure left by the police horses. So I think that's probably the perfect metaphor for a lot of Rangers fans' attitude towards this home season 2024-2025, completed tonight. But for me, it's Barry, homophone. Oh, Barry. Probably the only city in Italy the Ancelottis have never called home. But you think about it, Carlo Ancelotti, every team that he's played for, every team that he's managed, he's been all over Italy. In fact, he's been all over the world, hasn't he? Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich. But pretty much that's him got the Brazil job now, Real Madrid. He's now got the Brazil job. So I think he just get Manchester Rovers, the Harlem Globetrotters and Auchenhowie Talbot, and that's him covered all the major winning, glorious sporting institutions on the planet, except, of course, for the Teddy Bears. And he did manage a game here. Remember, he ended a game here. I wasn't at it. That was another one of my holidays. I was going to Halifax that day. Another Yorkshire thing. I was going to see Bradford Bulls playing Halifax at Odsal the next day. It's something I'd planned for it. It was part of the holiday trip, and we arranged a friendly with Real Madrid at Ibrox. I've seen Real Madrid at Hampden, but I've never seen them at Ibrox. So that was I know I rushed up the road for York to get to that Old Firm game last week, but sometimes I give in, and I do surrender stuff at times for the sake of my own domestic front. But remember he came on the park that day. I seen highlights at the end of that game, and he was just like, "No, we're getting beat. That's it. There's no point." In the referee was, I don't know, Kevin Clancy, I think, might have been drafted in to referee that one. Rangers are winning 2-1, and Don Carlos just walks on the park and picks up the ball and goes, "Nah, that's it. Done. Game's by way." Fantastic. But one thing I realised is he's never actually taken a job in Bari. I think he's born in Regime. Parma and Roma. He played for Milan, of course, as well as playing for Roma. But the whole point is, I don't think Ancelotti ever actually had a job in Bari. Bari, Paul Rideout, there's a connection there, the Rangers connection straight away. The Puglia Derby with Lecce, that kind of stuff. But there's a stadium. The stadium became really famous when it got redone for the 1990 World Cup for Italia 90, and it was Renzo Piano. Renzo Piano came in and designed this beautiful, it's like an orchid or something like that, opening up. It's the leaves of a flower opening up the beautiful stadium in Bari. It hosted the 1991 European Cup final, the last European Cup final in which there'd been no group stages involved. That was Red Star Belgrade winning that one in penalties, and of course Red Star Belgrade had played the guy who scored the winning penalty that night, Darko Panchev. He scored for them in the Ibrox leg when they put us out the European Cup that season. The less said about the Belgrade leg, the better. But that's it. It's Renzo Piano designed that stadium. What's the name of that stadium in Bari? Barry Ferguson Stadium. It's the Stadio San Nicola. It's St Nicholas Stadium. It's the Christmas Stadium. Santa Claus Stadium, should I say. Santa Claus, St Nicholas, born in Turkey as it happens, which is where Barry's had his best result on the continent, probably his best result as a manager. It was in Turkey where Santa Claus was born. But the St Nicholas Stadium, Barry, Christmas, associated with Christmas. And what's the most famous tactical formation? The tactical formation that Don Carlo Ancelotti is most famous for. That's the Christmas tree formation. I used to play that for, I think, was it Rivaldo, and who else did he have sitting behind the one striker up front? Anyway, it's a Christmas tree formation. And what's the only more important Christmas tree, you think, to Carlo Ancelotti? It'll be the Christmas tree. Any father knows what it's like to be a son at Christmas. It'll be the Christmas tree in which he lays down the gifts for his young son, for Davide. When Davide was a young boy, and he said to Davide, "I've never managed at Rangers, David. I've never managed at Rangers, and that is my gift to you. You can go and manage at Rangers. Merry Christmas, San Nicola Stadium in Barry Ferguson." I'm just trying to find a different way to talk about Barry Ferguson, to talk about the management situation. You know, the Bechtel test that you get. It's a feminist thing, but really it's just a common decency thing. It should be women deciding that they're only going to watch a movie if that movie features two women who talk about something other than men. I feel as if we should have a similar thing for Rangers podcasters. We should have a Rangers podcast that talks for 2 minutes about something other than managers. Talk something other than managers. But when you've had 2 managers a season for the last 4 seasons, and we're about to get we're 99.9% sure to be getting a new one yet again in the door shortly before the start of next season, then it's really quite unavoidable to be talking about managers. We've got to think this was Barry's last game in charge of Rangers at home tonight. In this interim period, you never know. This is the problem. We could have, the way things have been going at Rangers, there could be another total disaster. But the next manager in Barry's there, primed, ready to step in and take over if he has to. So let's hope it is Barry's last stint as Rangers manager. Nothing against him. But my God, yeah, that's what it's all about tonight. That's what it's all about tonight, folks. How you doing? This is your Fat Egg immediate post Barry's 7th home game in charge of Rangers, probably his last. Has resulted in back-to-back home victories. So he lost his first 3 straight home games in charge of Rangers. He drew his next 2 home games in charge of Rangers, and that's him won back-to-back his last 2 home games in charge of Rangers by an aggregate of 7-1. Those last 2 wins. So really the fight back is starting. He's got his 2 consecutive wins on the road against Celtic at Parkhead and Dundee at Dens Park, and that's him got 2 consecutive home wins as well. Now you throw in the win in Istanbul, the win at, where else did we win? We certainly won it at Kilmarnock. Is he maybe going to have to go to Easter Road and win on Saturday to have won half of the games? It's 14 or 15 games of his interim period, so we'll need to find out how it goes on Saturday, what kind of effect that has. But it's generally been really tidy. All he's got to do now is avoid disaster, and Hibs will be waiting for us. Hibs will be waiting for us and hoping to turn us into their big kind of pseudo plastic cup final victory to celebrate the great season they've had by their standards on Saturday. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet live on YouTube every Friday at 9 and every Sunday at 9:30. I put Scott Bradley, my number one man, my big mate Scott Bradley, the only guy on Gersnet who doesn't bully me and shove my head down the toilet and stuff like that. But he does deliberately say controversial things to me about James Tavernier. He dares me not to say James Tavernier's a footballing god in my eyes, because he knows he's the he's the most divisive character at Rangers these days. But I missed him. I was talking last night about the Gersnet podcast on Sunday night there, and I kept saying I knew it was Alan, I knew it was Brian that was hosting it, but I couldn't for the life of me get it. I kept saying Ross, the third person on that podcast, but I'm supposed to be on with Ross myself on Sunday. This coming Sunday, and Rob, but I'm supposed to be on that one with Ross, so obviously I fantasise sexually about Ross all the time, so that's why I had him on my mind. But Scott, I can't believe he was the guy I missed out. But I've been having that kind of month, Scott. It's nothing, but you're right up there, as I say, with Manuel Pellegrini, whose name completely evaded me when I was doing a podcast the other night. I'm sponsored by Gersnet, and I'm sponsored by that cold, empty, confusingly anticlimactic feeling that comes when you realise any long-held ambition or fulfil any target that you've had for around about a year, 10 months, as I decided I was going to see every hope. I mean, the other such targets were, for example, getting my degree. I got a third. Basically, it's like a D plus equivalent degree that I got after spending years, and I just realised when I got the third that everybody was just delighted. Everybody that I cared about and that cared about me was just delighted that I'd managed to get an honours degree, whereas I'd spent less time thinking I need to get a first. I wouldn't have just completely chucked the whole thing altogether mentally. Just decided to go in the Raz all the time and just clawed my way to a third. I could probably have got a 2-2 or something like that. But anyway, that's the game. And also, there was getting to Manchester, or more specifically, getting to see Rangers in a European final. That was a massive ambition of mine as well. Just needed to get to the most important match of my life, probably seeing Rangers against Zenit St. Petersburg. And it was a massively intense season. Massively intense season in so many ways. Rangers playing 68 games that season. I didn't get to them all. I'll touch on that in a second. But I did get to Manchester, and even on the night itself, before the game, I've told you a story a million times, I nearly missed kick-off because of a problem with the turnstile at the City of Manchester Stadium. But I got into my seat in time just to see the teams coming down the tunnel onto the park past that European trophy. That was my major ambition. And then at the end of the game, you're meeting my cousins and walking back into town over broken glass and watching riot cops heading into the town. Well, everything at the stadium was absolutely fine. It couldn't have been any more peaceful. We're applauding Zenit St Petersburg in the park, while in the town it's getting absolutely trashed. So stuff like that kind of anticlimactic feeling. The only, I think that season, funnily enough, the only home game I didn't get to was our last, and it was against Dundee United. Remember, I think Craig Levein was doing his thing on that. There's a number of games you could choose from. Craig Levein was doing his dinger, basically saying it was a Masonic conspiracy in favour of Rangers that day. But I think we beat them 3-1, and I was at my sister-in-law's wedding, my wife's sister's wedding that day. That's the thing. It's always something like that comes up that stops you getting to see an actual to get to complete whole season of seeing all the fixtures that you want to see, or of that season back 2007-2008. I think my main thing was to preserve my record of having seen every Rangers domestic cup game. I think it was for like 10 years or something. I managed it, home and away, League Cup, Scottish Cup. I saw my mum was running back home early for holidays and had to go to a replay against Partick Thistle at Fir Hills, that kind of thing. But I probably was just going to every home. I was over at Barcelona, I went to a final in Manchester and that, but I missed that home game. I missed that home game against Dundee United, which was a crucial game, and ultimately not futile, but we didn't win the league because we had to play 25 games in 3 days. But tonight, that's Dundee United out in the park tonight, and I've completed the whole season. The whole season of home fixtures. I've seen every Rangers home fixture this season. I think it's 30 of them. 30 we played. I was trying to count them up and think that's a hell of a lot, but yeah, it is. It's the expanded European group stage now, and Rangers doing so well that we ended up getting another couple of games after that, as well as the not so good elimination at Hampden before. I think 4 home games at Hampden this season, and it's been quite it's been a mixed bag. It's been a mixed bag, the 30 home games this season. We've had, I think the night against Dynamo Kiev at Hampden, I thought that was going to be phenomenally exciting and intense and really different. Rangers playing a home European game somewhere all in Ibrox for the first time in their history against another club that's renowned for playing in multiple Cup Winners' Cup finals, and really the next step, never quite making that next step of getting into the Champions League or European Cup final, but coming damn close a few times. But no, it was pretty much an anticlimax, but a damp squib that night. I think the low point at Hampden was the League Cup game against St Johnstone on a Saturday night, when there was about 10,000 there. I think the crowd must have been about 10,000. It was awful, absolutely awful. And there was a man further along from me up the top, in the main stand, I'll say, and there was guys, middle-aged guys, the same as myself. But one of them, the guy sitting in the row to the front, he had his wee lassie with him, or maybe it's his granddaughter, I don't know. That was his wee lassie, because she shouted, "Daddy, Daddy, don't, shut up, stop it, Dad." And the guy behind him, I think, had said something racist to one of our players. A Rangers supporter saying something racist to one of us, something like that. Something like that had gone on. Because the fella had his wee lassie with him, and she's got all the pink gear on and a wee Rangers scarf and all that. I don't know what age she would be. But he's raging at this guy for saying that, and the guy kept going, the guy behind him, and he was just going to leather him, and you could tell that he would leather him. This wee yappy guy just kept sitting there, mouth, no able to get up. And the guy said to me, let's go outside. I don't know what he was going to do with a wee lassie at that point. And I don't know, she got to the point where she's actually saying to the guy behind her dad, stop talking, and it was all him. It was just sitting there. Did we intervene? What? No, I think the big fella's got this sorted. Wee lassie with him or not. And she slept through the half time and all that because of the excitement, and it was just, they were struggling to beat a shit St Johnstone side. Craig Levein involved again, not going full throttle for the referee that time, but still implying stuff, even though we had VAR, which he would have loved to have had back in May 2008, Rangers' last game before the UEFA Cup final, 14th May 2008, 17 years ago tonight, as we remain 17 points behind Celtic and 17 points in front of Hibs. That that was just a really weird, kind of desolate night. That one. It was a Saturday night. It was September, late August, early September, so it was still light as you're getting there and getting home. But it's Saturday evening. It was a 6 o'clock kick-off or something because it was on one of the stupid channels. It was a desperate thing. We had compare that though, contrast that with the game against Spurs. Just phenomenal. We've got a night of two British heavyweights, two grand dames of the UK game, just going head to head, giving it laldy against each other here at Ibrox. One each could have won the game easily. Fantastic goal, Igaman, fantastic ball for Tav, and Cyril has a chance to win the game right at the end. Great save, Fraser Foster, ex-Celtic. He's done that to us before, so there's all that kind of stuff to it as well. Just a cracking old night, a European fitbit under the lights at Ibrox. There was a beautiful thing. A quietly beautiful thing of our first game back at Ibrox. The next round of the League Cup, the quarter-final against Dundee, beat them 3-0. Again, that stupid Saturday night kick-off time for Yon Funny Channel, covering the game live. But it was but it was darker by this point in time. It's later in the year. The floodlights were on. It was properly dark, but we got to see the work that had been done. It was our first game back at Ibrox. We got back earlier than I thought we would, after knowing that we weren't going to start our home season at Ibrox. And John Bennett is as good as his word at that point in time to get us back into Ibrox. I think he was trying to say we'd be lucky if it was September, and we did get in, I think it's 21st of September, and seeing the work that had been done to the Copeland road stand for our wheelchair supporters, and knowing that four games at Hampden was well worth it. No inconvenience at all compared to the benefit. That was nice, and we had Union St Gilles was quietly. It was like Union St Gilles in Queen's Park. I think it summed up the season. I don't say they cancelled each other out. Only winning the Europa League probably for Rangers would have cancelled out what happened against Queen's Park. Our worst domestic defeat of all time, I would say. But that's only since 2012. I can hear Rangers haters saying, and that was one of the nights that I wished we had only been gone since 2012, mate, because it would have been an insult to far less history than it actually was that Sunday evening. Again, the crappy kick-half time, losing to Queen's Park, one of the all-time lows, and I came out and I was just kind of like shattered, just kind of what happened, and just barely 2 weeks before that, not even was it the previous Thursday night? I can't remember. I thought that it was shortly before that. That was 9th of February, I think. 9th of February, and it was the end of January that we had the game against Union St Gilles here on the Thursday night. Just sitting going, this is a great game. God, we're going to win this game. Oh, they've come back into it towards the end. It's quite exciting. Folk around about you going, all the other results have gone the right way. We're 8th, and I'm going, but does that not mean? Is 8th place no? And they're going, aye, we're going to qualify automatically for the last 16. We're going to miss out the next round. And that was a night I'm standing here afterwards going, a different kind of stunned. I'm far more pleasant, kind of stunned and puzzled by how well Rangers had done in that tournament. Not that it was. I was more puzzled by all the rest of the results that we needed coming together, because Rangers had been lovely in that tournament, beating FCSB 4-0 here, but then we lost 4-1 here, getting another leathering off Lyon, third leathering off Lyon in Europe at home that I've been at, and we immediately rectified that by going over to another French side, another Ligue 1 side, a Ligue 1 side that's I've been neck and neck with Lyon for a couple of seasons now. Nice and leathering them 4-1 in their place. It was just. It's been the night against Athletic Club Bilbao, then 0-0 against them with 10 men, then 9 men. That had me in tears. I was so proud of Rangers in the middle of all that. But it's been. If you look at Barry's 7 games in charge, so he's lost 3, drawn 2, and won 2. But the 3 he lost, one of them was against Fenerbahçe, which we won on penalties on the night, and only losing 2-0 to Fenerbahçe was all part of the plan, because we already had a 3-1 lead from the first leg. So I think you can just maybe say his record is right down the middle. I think you can throw that in as half victory, half loss. His record's absolutely fine, totally respectable. And there's only one more potential humiliation to be avoided, and we can properly say thanks to Barry. We said thanks to him tonight. How you doing, folks? My name's Alec Anderson. Wake from your sleep, the drying of your tears today We escape. We escape. My name's Alec Anderson. I'm talking to you from outside Ibrox immediately after Rangers have beaten Dundee United by 3-1 in tonight's SPFL Premiership fixture, the last home fixture for Rangers in this super intense, super interesting season 2024-2025, and as I say, more than likely to be Barry Ferguson's last home fixture as Rangers manager. Rangers win by 3-1, which puts us 17 behind Celtic, 17 in front of Hibs. We could still, it's all up for grabs. It could still be, we finished 20 points behind Celtic, and we could finish 14 points behind Celtic. But really, the season is done and dusted. We'll just get to it. It was the same starting 10 outfield players as the second half on Saturday against Aberdeen, which is what I wanted, which meant Igaman is starting instead of Bajrami, who took a horrible foul, which I thought that's what it cost him ultimately coming on the second half and Saturday against Aberdeen and Sunday against Aberdeen. But no, I think it was generally rank, and it seems completely disinterested in playing for Rangers, Nadeem Bajrami. So Igaman comes on the night, but it was Jack Butland. Super Jack Butland was back in goals, and that's straight away. Liam Kelly's on the bench. I didn't see any kind of immediate pre-match interviews, so I doubt it's a case of Liam Kelly being ill or having a slight injury or something like that, being any concerns over his fitness, because he's on the bench, and also he's been doing really well, Liam Kelly. So I was a bit, when Jack Butland was in goals tonight, it was reminding me of a game 2 seasons ago. At this point, 2 seasons ago, last home game of the season against Hearts. I remember we put Alan McGregor in nets. Alan McGregor, who is on our bench tonight, we put Alan McGregor in nets after his form had really started going to pieces, but we got him back into the game for that one. I think it was it Michael Beale in charge, and we drew 2 each with Hearts, and I think Griggs was responsible for the 2 goals that Hearts scored that night. So I was worried we were going to have a situation like that tonight. Didn't really come to pass. I think certainly it didn't cost us any points, but we'll talk about the goal we conceded. I think it was the 4 diamond 2 again formation we were playing with Conor Barron kind of sitting a bit deeper, and I think this time it was Cherny. Cherny is the point of the diamond behind Igaman, and Dessers playing as a front 2. And the first kind of 15 minutes or so, Dundee United, the first 14 minutes I would say, Dundee United could not get out their own half, but Rangers weren't really doing much. We weren't doing much with the ball. We think Igaman had kind of flashed a header, or flashed the ball across their goal towards the far corner of their net, and I think it was quite an unexpected shot, but it did well to get any kind of shot anywhere near being on target. So that was a kind of, I just remember thinking, God, is that the most exciting thing we've done so far? I think Dessers had a kind of tame shot. Dundee United got up the park once, and they brought out a smart save from Jack Butland. It was a kind of reprise for Jack Butland, or kind of a renaissance, even if you like. He was just going through the stuff that he'd done wrong before for Rangers, the stuff that had landed him on our bench, the stuff that probably see the end of his Rangers career, and he was dealing with it this time, because it was a kind of low shot from Dundee United around about the 14th, 15th minute. Their first attempt on goal, first time they'd really been near our box, and he held it. The kind of thing had been bouncing off him, and then about a minute later, United they had a clean shot on goal, and he did really well to parry it, and from the corner, Dundee United just headed it straight in there. I don't know if this is one of those ones that it was so kind of tame and just weak. Just like they put a corner in, and a guy, I think it was big centre half, comes in and heads it into the back of the net. You're thinking, is Butland supposed to come for that and win that? But there's also, John Souttar and Leon Balogun, they're in there as well. They won the ball in the air, and it goes. And it seemed like it was a real sickener, but you realised it might feel total end of season fare, A, because of the weather, which was glorious, and B, because the stands are half empty. I'm thinking at least a third of the season ticket holders were missing tonight, maybe a half full Ibrox. But it was a beautiful night. You think it's total end of season stuff, but you realise when that ball went in the back of the net, no, I hate the idea of us going out with a loss. We'll be touching that again later in a deeper way, but it was a bit of a sickener, and Dundee United fans had just about completed their second rendition of You're Not Rangers Anymore when the Hefty show started. I think it was about 5 minutes after they scored. United Hefty took an interest in that guy I've been slagging all season for the fact that he's brilliant. He just got that Yogo Bonito, bouncy, energetic, very strong as well, stride up and down that park, but he lacks concentration at times defensively. I'm really interested to see Rangers keep him. I don't think we will, but I'm really interested to see if Rangers kept him. Somebody could work on him and sort out the little, just polish up his game. And two of the things was he never looks like a goal threat for somebody who gets forward so often, and he never puts in a decent ball. He doesn't know how to cross the ball for somebody who's so much time and so much ability to get up and down the wing. And on Sunday, albeit a massive deflection, he did get his first goal for Rangers. And then tonight, what's a ball he puts in? He just goes right down the left-hand side, just what I always wanted to see him do, and pings the ball right to the back post. And there's Cyril Dessers, a man who missed about 15 point-blank headers on Sunday. I'm exaggerating there. Goes up, Derek Johnson style back post and nods that thing straight into the top corner. No fuss, nothing, no kind of needing to get his eyes in it, needing to get his sighters in there. No, it's just straight into the top corner. Cracking equaliser. And that was it until half time. I think Cyril Dessers got involved in his own box, trying to stop United getting through on goal, and brought out the save of the match from Super Jack Butland in goals, wearing his big salmon pink kit tonight, and he got up like a salmon to touch the thing away from the top corner. Cracking save, for which Cyril Dessers promptly went up and thanked him, but I don't know if it would have been offside or something like that. I have a funny feeling United might have been offside from it, but cracking save anyway. That was it, I think, until half time. No changes at half time. Come into the second half, and the second half, of the first 20 minutes of the second half, was just all but the United goalkeeper sucking the absolute life out the game. Rangers United had a couple of goals. I think they won a corner in the first couple of minutes. But Rangers mostly had a hold of the ball, but weren't really getting anywhere in terms of shooting, in terms of getting shots on target or really threatening United goal. And any time the ball went past the post, the United keeper was taking his time picking up the furthest away ball he could find and taking it to the opposite post to do his goal kick and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that it worked. I'm not saying that him trying to turn the game into a bore fest. Dundee United obviously going for a draw there, but there are in the corner. The corner flag at the Copeland and main stand, and there's a wee kind of camber directly behind it. We've got the grass track kind of thing. They've got the blue track, and then there's grass, and I think it might be AstroTurf that goes round the kind of periphery of the pitch, or around the perimeter of the pitch. But at the corners, it's kind of taken away with a triangle of the blue track, the blue kind of tarmac. That's the track. Well, I noticed on the one at the corner flag between the Copeland and the main stand, there are 7 manhole covers. 7 manhole covers, and 6 of them are circular. One of them's square. There's another one just off that, but there's another one. There's another wee kind of circular thing that obviously is to get lifted up and stuff goes in there, but I don't think it's a manhole cover. It might be the electric. There's a lot of cabling going along there as well to do with the cameras and all that for the broadcasters. So it's difficult to work out. And there's 6 drains. There's 6 actual, your normal grates, kind of drains, rain drains, all the way across the front, staggered perfectly across the front of the Copeland on the track, right at the front of the Copeland road stand. One of the most beautiful things about Ibrox, one of the reasons you should always go if you get a chance to a Rangers game, is if you're sitting in the main stand on a night like this and the sun's setting in the west, not up towards Dumbarton, towards Loch Lomond, let's say, and it shines right through the main stand, between the main stand and the Broomlin. It hits you right and you kind of cover your eyes, and it looks gorgeous. Everybody looks gorgeous in that kind of beautiful neo-summer becoming lower, the sun in the sky. And what it does is it beautifully lights up the really architecturally sensitive addition to each side of this, the category B, is it? Where Airdrie's Casuals a section of Cheerio, the category B listed frontage of our main stand, that beautiful Welsh red brick edifice. And we put up the club deck in 1991. We just had to get these. We had to find somewhere to put the stairs. They put the stairs up to the club deck, so they've got these beautiful, as you know, glass encased staircases within a modern red brick kind of house and red brick finish, and the sun shines right through, so you see the skeleton of the stairs through the glass. It's all lit up, and anybody who's walking up the stairs to get a pie, sometimes prosaic or a pie, is a pie or a, well, I never find a pie prosaic, but sometimes prosaic is a pea, suddenly just look godlike, like angels, because they're lit up. They're this figure, this dark figure, being lit up by that huge celestial being, and Jim Goodwin's looking very kind of golf casual, but with his beard and his silvery hair, he looks more like a buccaneer who shops at Marks and Spencer's. And I think Barry's got the brown brogues on, the grey slacks, the blazer. In the second half, Jim Goodwin, he get his big coat on. It was a kind of dull first 20 minutes, and then the referee intervened or did not intervene. Callum Scott, or Scott Callum, can't remember the guy's name. Maybe he's refereed 10 Rangers, 20 Rangers games this season, but I've never noticed him before. I don't think he's out to get us. I think he's just scared to make a decision. And tonight, when Cyril Dessers gets brought down when about the 70th minute, I don't know if it was Declan Gallagher, one of the United defenders, have got two hands on his waist, and down goes Cyril, a bit definitely looking for the penalty and trying to illustrate the fact, emphasise the fact that he's being held. Referee's not having it. I'm looking at that one through the blue blinkers thinking it's a penalty, but I'm willing to take that one as not being a penalty. 2 minutes later, or a minute later, it seemed Diamandi got the legs taken from Diamandi, who was having many shots tonight, none of which were very good, but he's getting himself involved. He cuts into the box and seemed to have the legs completely taken from him at thigh level. Referee waves play on quite dramatically, and I think you're just scared to give a penalty. I think you're scared to make a decision, and VAR straight away told him to go and have a look at the screen, and he did that, and it was a penalty. And I'm thinking, oh no, Tav's handed it to Dessers. I know why he's done that. But it's as if Dessers misses. This is the two favourite hate figures and the two guys who should actually get the least hate probably in the Rangers team this season. He's given the ball to Dessers, so Tav's going to take a slagging, and Dessers are going to take a slagging on what might be both last home game for Rangers ever. The way things might go this summer, this could be a massive mistake, but no danger at all. Up steps big Cyril, gives it the stutter, sends the keeper the wrong way, slots it home, 2-1 to Rangers, and then a quick third goal followed thereafter. Too many folk around about me talking about this. We're all chanting about it's a refereeing conspiracy and how that VAR is definitely out to get us, and we just got a penalty from it. But it feels like the first time VAR has given us something for the last month or something. Too many folk chatting to me, and me too willing to get into these conversations with folk around about me for me to notice how this move started. But it was sweeping, it was bold. I think it was counter-attacking, and it ended with a beautifully weighted ball from Václav Černý to the ever forward overlapping Nico Raskin, and you think a bit of a tight angle, but I could see this could be a spectacular finish. It's in the back of the net. It was phenomenal, a lovely goal, a beautiful sweeping move, a kind of coup de grace type goal, and a great way to see out the season. After that, the substitutions started. I noticed that Tom Lawrence and Bailey Rice, I really need to see them with their backs to me so I know what one's what. They're starting to look from a distance, maybe it's the specs, they look very similar. At times we're going to end up, maybe we should do a kind of Lee Carsley and Thomas Gravison thing there and trying to sell the two of them to sell one of them to Real Madrid, as thinking it's the same player that covers all that, and get 50 million for them. The patter's bad. It's end of season patter, but it wasn't by the end of that second half. It wasn't end of season fair. In the home games, I've counted them all out, and I counted them all back in, and the last man down the tunnel was Václav Černý, who when he gets subbed off, I think straight away after that third goal for Rangers. He was giving it the big pats of the badge and the big kind of love heart waves to the Copeland Road and the rest of the stadium. I think he's away. I had hummed and hawed about whether to stay behind to give them but it was never going to be a standing ovation. It was never going to be a lap of honour. It was just, this is my club, this is my team. We've went through a lot together. I heard somebody saying the way out, no, don't stay, don't hang about. Nobody should be hanging about tonight. I don't stay for a second and all that. And that's like, fuck off, don't come back then. Of course, I'm just saying that to myself now, saying that to you now. I didn't say it to the guy at the time because I would get leathered. I'm a big coward. But I thought, I'm staying here to see what happens. And the players, they're saying thanks to us for supporting them. So there wasn't many people hanging about. There wasn't many people on the ground to start with tonight compared to the usual crowds here at Ibrox. But by the end of the night, it was a smattering in each stand. But there'd been a few bursts already before the final whistle of Barry Ferguson, and we gave him another one in the way down the tunnel. Aye, and Cherny was the last man wearing his big coat by that time to go down the tunnel, and that's that, troops. That is that in terms of the home season, and we've got one more game to go at Easter Road. Aye, I've been trying not to talk about takeovers and trying not to talk about the potential new managers, because it could be somebody else by tomorrow. It's a rumour that suits Rangers and yet to have a job in his own right, Davide Ancelotti. It's a rumour that suits both parties to get it out there what Rangers' intentions are, even if Ancelotti doesn't come, and also what Ancelotti's intentions are and where he's capable of getting a gig, even if it's not Rangers that it eventually comes to. And that's the scenario with most of the kind of rumours floating around. The appointment of Kevin Thelwell and stuff like that, I think, tells us that the takeover has effectively happened, and I'm excited. I'm very excited about it. Very deeply excited. I might not be showing it right now. And Ancelotti is. I was making me jokes last week about how, I'm looking forward to, I'm wanting the manager to be one of these, a guy who's a complete guru in the dry Bundesliga. He's 22 years old or something like that. And I think he fits that profile, does Ancelotti Jr., and that is the inconvenience of a playing career. For the top managers these days, they don't need to be spending time playing. Steven Gerrard said that himself. Steven Gerrard said that when he arrived, he'd spent too much time playing the game to be the kind of top level manager that elite clubs want these days. He'd spent too much time playing the game instead of doing the studying and the coaching and all the courses and all that. Michael Beale was the brains he was bringing in with him. Michael Beale, who'd packed in his playing career early, and of course the top end of the game like Thomas Tuchel and Thomas Tuchel, all the guys like that have packed in their playing career early to become total gurus, or are super intelligent and pick it up pretty quickly as they're going along. It's that kind of model we're going for now, and it's all about the entire club. It's a whole club thing, and if it works, it fucking started this season. If it works, it started in 2012 when we made sure the club kept going. It is not a cut and dry thing. I'm getting a lot of, straight away, a few folk talking to me, and it's this kind of Barry's old school, get him to fuck, and which is basically what I think, but just not in those terms. I've never thought Barry should be doing the job full time. It's the new way ahead. We're going to do it like this. Thank God we finally got there. But it's an ongoing process. We've been getting there for years now. We've been trying to get ourselves there, and I think the guys who've run the club this season, for the last few seasons, the guys who own the club, the guys who finance the club, who've bankrolled the club, without mouthing off about 50 million Saudi Arabia, 50 million Saudi Arabia, just saying things like that in the press to make sure that they seem like it's like getting in there first in case anything good does happen and somehow you've claimed it was all about you. Most of the guys running the club, looking after the club just now, they will get paid. They'll get their money back. They're businessmen. They'll get a bit of interest on it, but I think we don't seem to realise it's permanent cultural revolution with the Rangers support. And I have to say, one of the overriding memories, one of the abiding memories for me this season will be some of the hate being thrown at our own players, and it has approached hate at times, and I don't understand it. Understand anger, understand frustration, God knows I do. But if you're super excited, if you feel as if your supporting of Rangers starts, your enthusiasm for Rangers starts next season, it starts when we start winning again, when we get Davide Ancelotti or someone like him into Ibrox, and it's all algorithms and it's analysis and it's sports science. Well, sports science doesn't run the club, says Chris Boyd. The European football doesn't count. European achievements don't count. I think one of the hardest things to take for a lot of Rangers people and a lot of Rangers observers this season has been the fact that it's been so good. It has been. It's been so terrible domestically. They're so far behind. The Queen's Park defeat, absolutely the most horrific domestic defeat, I would say, of all time for us. And yet, what we did in Europe was phenomenal. Absolutely unbelievable how well we did in Europe, the way we qualified. Having started off with a failure in the Champions League qualifiers and dropping into the Europa League group stage, but even that the fact that we go into the Europa League group stages as failures, as a failure, that's been built up. When Steven Gerrard was here, That's been built up. No, Dave King gets the credit for being involved in that, for making sure that happened. This is something that's been ongoing for years. This whole kind of, I hate everybody that's here just now because we're not winning as much as possible. I love the guys that aren't here yet and the way that we should be doing things, but that hasn't. It's all got to be. The groundwork has got to be laid. There's been some real dirty jobs to be done, like the wee sweepy man cleaning up the police horse shite. Running about the exterior at Ibrox to keep this stadium as beautiful as it always is. There's dirty jobs to be done, and just bankrolling Rangers and getting Rangers this season to a state where we were sellable. We had our chairman was ill, and even then we had no CEO. Everybody keeps talking about a disgrace to give Clement an extended contract. Clement was doing everything. Clement was being much more than a football manager. Even he, the job's worth that we eventually thought he was. Because he needed to be, because we're wanting a new manager, and it's always the manager who gets the blame for bad results. Clement was doing basically jobs that were above his pay grade, so he was given a bit more of a grade to his pay. I think to make up for that, we didn't have our own stadium. We got in John Gilligan. He gets in Patrick Stewart, and then he basically appoints a chairman, and we're changing. We're populating the board apart from anything else, and then we're rearranging the board. We're rearranging the executive setup, the sporting setup. We get our sporting director, and we get a technical director. I'm losing track, and that's a good thing because we need all these different layers. Because there's much more to it than just the manager, and I think it's only now that we're going to get that kind of guru, technician, not necessarily an ideologue, but somebody who's got all the right theories and knows how to put them into practice. A more studied kind of manager. I think it's only now that we're realising what everything that Rangers has been aiming towards and slowly building towards for years now. And I say even Stephen Gerrard coming in and getting us through those qualifying rounds. 2 seasons in a row of going through 4 qualifying rounds to get us into group stages, to slowly build up our coefficient in Europe, to then be 3 qualifying rounds, to then getting to the point where, say, this season, it's punishment. 6-7 years later, it's punishment for Rangers to go into the Europa League group stages. That's phenomenal, and it gets no credit whatsoever. I know that's part of Rangers. The size we are, we do need to be winning lots of domestic trophies, and it's all about pushing forward, but I think there's just a lack of appreciation of what's going on just now. If you didn't enjoy this tonight, if you're not involved in this tonight, and I don't mean it's not about me going to the home. I mean, I can get here. I left the house 7 o'clock, but a minute to 7 tonight. The game kicks off at 1:45. I knew it was going to be quieter because it's going to be a smaller crowd, but it's really convenient for me. There's people who go to 2 games a season, go and see 2 home games a season, who are much more dedicated, much more in love with Rangers than I am, because they'll be travelling from some other they don't have any money or something like that. They'll be travelling from much further afield. I'm not saying that. I just mean if the investment, if your belief, if your interest, if your love for the team only starts when the team is winning, and winning on all fronts, because it's not like we didn't do anything this season, then can you be one of those people who's going to come and fill those empty seats tonight next season, at the start of next season, and immediately start slagging everybody when it doesn't go according to plan? We could be 14 points behind Celtic, we could be 20 points behind Celtic by the end of play on Saturday. It's going to be at least 10 points behind them. That's a big difference to make up in the course of a season. So no matter who we get in, no matter how many players we get in, so it should be, more than likely should be, that we don't win the league next season, but get closer to them, get back closer, and it's progress. We're going in the right direction. So many times in recent years, the story that's been hanging over us is, we can beat all these wee teams, beat all the diddy teams, no bother, but we can't beat Celtic. It doesn't count until we can beat Celtic. This season, Celtic have not been a problem for us. Not been a problem, only beaten us once in the league cup final. As I'll always say, they won it controversially. We were denied a massive decision in that League Cup final. Dundee United tonight, that means we've beaten everybody. We've beaten every team in the league this season. We've beaten them at home. Now, Rangers should be doing that anyway, but it doesn't happen very often. We've beaten them all at home, so that's a basic done right, and we've beat quite a few away as well, beating Celtic home and away. It's in Europe, 2 quarter-finals in the space of 4 seasons for Rangers, or 3 seasons, is when everything's weighted against Scotland, coefficient-wise, politically, financially by UEFA, then that's a tremendous, tremendous achievement as well. And as soon as we get consistent domestic success, that is the next thing that will be asked of us and demanded of us. Nobody likes us. We don't care. We should like ourselves more. I like the fact that we're so critical of ourselves as a support. But with Clermont's 4-2-3-1, for example, Clermont's 4-2-3-1. Remember that? That was this season and last. It won't change the 4-2. It won't change the formation. It will only change the formation. But why should he? He's not got the players. We were the ones that were crying for a clear out of the whole squad. This squad needs gutted. Well, we started doing that. But because we don't have anything else in place, we don't have the money, we couldn't get the level of players into the place, the players that we got out, or the number of players we needed to get in. It was going to take years if we didn't get major investment. And Clermont's, he's responsible. He's, I'd say 70% responsible for that fantastic European run, for us ending up in the quarterfinals tonight. But that 4-2-3-1, he's thinking, well, I'm just going to make sure there's one thing that's consistent, there's one thing we can build around, but when so much about the club is in flux and has been for years, let's get the formation right. Anybody who comes in knows what the formation is going to be. We played it in different ways. We played it all sorts of different styles. And we populated it with different players all season. But I feel it's the same way for me. The one thing that doesn't change at Rangers is us, the support. The one thing we can make sure of, and we've done brilliantly as a support. And I'm just giving you my tuppence worth here. It's I'm no any uber Rangers supporter or anything like that. And there's so many thousands of people who give so much more to the club than I ever will. I'm not saying the Rangers support this, but I'm talking about myself here. But so proud of what we did with our time in the lower leagues. But it feels as if that's when our patience kind of ended a lot of the time, and we need to be careful that we don't end up getting rid, hunting people out the door who shouldn't be hunted out the door. The example of Barry Ferguson just now, I don't want Barry as manager. I'd be horrified if, not horrified is too strong a term, but I'd be really disappointed if Barry was Rangers manager next season. But that doesn't mean to say I don't want him to do well as an interim manager. It doesn't mean to say I have to hate him being in the position, being in the job. I came near to hating Barry in a way that you will hate a loved one that you've fallen out with when he was undermining Le Guin and blah blah blah. So I've been here before with the guru coach who has to be foreign, who's doing stuff on the continent, is going to change everything. Was it the Monster Munch or was it Space Invaders? I can't remember. That was a big a big trigger for me. He can't even, you've got to get the celery in there, Barry. We're going to do get rid of the crisps, get rid of the Coke, get rid of the Mars bars. We're going to do it continental style. And then Walter Smith comes in, gets us to a European final straight away, and proves basically that there's more to it than that. There are peculiarities at Rangers. It's not always a case of adopting a blueprint from a completely other club in another sphere, another footballing realm. But I did have my problems with Barry. I was just terrified for him when he took on this job, and he's had his moments where it's gone badly, but he has been tactically fluid, and he's definitely got the best out of the players in certain games where they seem to be ailing come half time. A good Bollocken has sorted them out, and I think he's done. I'm so pleased for him, and I think it's been a nice change as well to have somebody coming in and just that we do know as a Rangers man, as a Rangers figure, because we feel as if we needed somebody who got us. We saw with Clermont in the Queen's Park defeat. That's when it was over for him, because he didn't know what that meant, and he realised during the course of the post-match press conference, to the point where he had to swear. He suddenly thought, I'm going to have to prove here that I really do care, and he threw the F-bomb in there. And it just was really plastic and fake and didn't work at all. But even then I was thinking, well, maybe that's what it takes. Because we're getting somebody in, if we're getting Davide Ancelotti in, who a lot of us are very excited about, he certainly doesn't understand the club either. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, he's just quality. Well, that's what we thought was happening with Clermont on a smaller scale. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, I feel as if for a lot of people the excitement is the same as the love. That Rangers winning is what it's all about. Whereas for me, it's about Rangers first and foremost. There's not a lot of difference. There shouldn't be too much difference between that Rangers and Rangers winning, because Rangers are about winning in Scotland. Maybe that's why I enjoy it so much in Europe, because it's appreciated more. But love the club first, be the 4-2-3-1, the thing that's never going to change, and we can get the players and the people, the directors, the owners, whatever, to populate it. And I think after a whole cry, for months on end of we need Rangers people in the job, we need people who understand the club. That doesn't scan at all. That clashes pretty badly, clangs pretty badly with us all suddenly being, Americans. Yeah, they'll totally know. They know Leeds. They know Leeds. That's fine. They know the Red Bull. Aye, I drink that all the time. Let bring them in. I love it. I've always wanted that. That's definitely the way ahead. We've got to kind of try and find a middle ground and just love our club. And I've loved coming, even when it's been horrendous this season. There's been so many good times as well, and it's just been great coming here this season. Sorry folks, getting a bit emotional, and as usual, rambling on far too much. It was going to be less than half an hour, it's 50 minutes. What will I end with? Well, here I am near the Bluebell gates. The Bluebells up in the gates at this end, at the Brimlin end, and here's somebody coming with the pint glasses and all that from the hospitality, rattling along the ground, the way this season has clanged. But the Bluebells up the gates here just reminded me of the scene I might have told you. This is going to sound really weird if you haven't heard me talk about this before on the pod. Across the road for me, because from my house, straight across for where I sit basically, having my cups of tea and my cans of Coke and all the stuff I eat and drink when I'm watching telly. When I do my couch potato thing, straight through the window. If it's during the day, if I happen to be during the day, there is the house across the road, and it's not got a fence or anything like that. It's got a kind of brick wall, a really old red brick wall around the garden, a lovely big kind of grassy garden, and it meets the old red brick wall of the house next door. And it's during the day, if there's no cars about, I look at that, and it's like it could be any time over the last 100 or 200 years. It's kind of just a little timeless bit. If I look to the left or to the right, I'll see, all sorts of modern stuff. But it's nice, and I've been telling you, there's this tree. It's a kind of bush that comes out the ground, and it's in the shape of a hand, and it's like a 6-fingered hand. And during the winter, I was like, it's really bare. It's like a skeletal hand. It's something like a horror film. It's really good at Halloween, I thought, but the weather we've had the last few days, the last few weeks, it's been absolutely beautiful. I suddenly noticed there's a little bit of grass. It's kind of grown underneath it, and it's starting to bloom a little bit, or leaf, whatever you say. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of shrub. And there's kind of greenery coming off the fingers, so to speak. They look like kind of little floral, little kind of hippie rings. And then all around the bottom, there's a little pool of bluebells, which look like the kind of cuff of a hippie shirt from around the bottom of it, and suddenly that hand looks like it's beckoning me to doom. It's just telling me it's going to drag me down to hell the way I thought it was going to do. In the cold of winter, when Rangers were starting to, maybe like the first time we played Dundee United at Ibrox this season, they drew one each, and it was a terrible day. It's just looking like it's giving me a nice wee pleasant wave now. It's all kind of neat. But last week, a black cat of all things, just sat in the little corner of the two walls, and it's a young cat, and it jumped off the corner of the two walls, and following it was 2-3 bricks coming out that old wall. This wee cat had knocked down these bricks, and it fell off the wall, and I thought, oh, that's good. I hope it's alright. I hope the cat's okay. It is a right old wall. And then on Saturday there, a fella came, and he was fixing the wall, and a kind of orange cable running for the person's house to the guy's drill or whatever it was he was using, a bit of machinery that he was using. It was really incongruous with the whole kind of Edwardian, Victorian aspect of that little view of mine for the sofa. But and then he put a whole lot of kind of almost white new cement down the top of it, and I was like, it's like it. And as he went away, I realised that he'd left a couple of gleaming metal brackets holding the two walls together and making sure no more bricks would be falling off it and hurting people. And it's needed to be done, but it's ruined the whole kind of scene. And it's not architecturally sensitive, if you know what I mean. I can see straight away it does clash with the traditions, of that red brick wall across the road from me. And but one beautiful thing I started to wonder, is that hand, it's maybe not waving at all, it's drowning. But I realised that the bluebells come in two different colours, because I was looking up the other day and I think that's no blue. That bluebell's not blue. The bluebell is not blue. And I looked it up, and there's two different types of bluebell, and one of them, in the beautiful kind of sunlight we've been enjoying recently, is violet. And it's just this lovely, beautiful violet scene straight across the road from me. And violet is the colour of FK Austria Vienna's kit. Austria Vienna, who are one of the clubs that we could be playing at Ibrox in middle to late July when we're next back here in the Champions League qualifiers. That's probably going to be the next home game at Ibrox, folks, and I will see you for my next outdoor immediate post-match reaction pod after that. A much quicker one off the wrist tomorrow or Friday, previewing the game against Hibs, and then we'll have the massive session wank on Saturday to review the whole season, and I'll talk to you then, troops. Thanks very much, and I'll see you later, Ibrox. I'll see you soon.